Hello horror movie fans, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. I just got done watching the Orphan prequel titled Orphan First Kill, and with Orphan First Kill, we are following the beginning story of Esther and how she ended up at the orphanage that we see in the 2009 movie, only this time instead of pretending to be an orphan, Esther is pretending to be the long-lost child of a family, only for them to unravel the secrets Esther is hiding. That's all pretty much say without giving any spoilers to you guys. This will be a spoiler-free review. Off the top, I want to say I'm away from my desk right now going out and visiting family, so that's why you're not seeing my baby orphan face. But as someone who really enjoys that first Orphan movie, I had to go out and see this and get a review out for you guys, because let me tell you, I am extremely pleasantly surprised with this prequel. Going back to my thoughts on that original Orphan movie, it's a movie that came out when I was in middle school, and I actually hadn't seen it since then, but it's always stuck with me. And well, since I hadn't seen the original Orphan since I was in middle school, I obviously wanted to check it out again in preparation for Orphan First Kill, where I did have the bias thinking to myself, did I only like the movie as a kid because of the twist at the end and how mind-blowing it was? When I went back and rewatched the movie, I was so surprised with how well it's made and how much of an underrated horror movie that is. Sure, the twist is mind-blowing, but even before the twist happens, it's still an unsettling watch, having this little kid go around, be a menace, and taking down lives. Plus the psychological factor that Esther plays into the mom and the way she just manipulates the people around her, ruins her life. It all works so well even without the twist. So now getting into Orphan First Kill, when they announced that they would be doing a prequel, I was really reserved on the idea because I thought, why? That first movie is already pretty good, and since we know the twist of the movie, can you really do something different that would be interesting for us to watch? I was even hesitant when I heard they were going to bring back Isabelle Fuhrman and not use CGI to de-age them, but instead just old-fashioned clever camera trickery to make her appear younger. But I can honestly tell you guys, after having seen the movie, all those reservations and worries are out the window, and I'm so happy this movie exists. For one, big props to the director of this movie, William Brent Ball, who I really did not have that much faith in because they were the director of The Boy and The Boy 2. I could make the argument that the first Boy movie and the first The Orphan movie are pretty similar in that they're films that kind of rely heavily on their big twists for you to like them. And then even that movie went on to make a sequel where you feel like it's pointless to watch another movie, especially when knowing the twist of the film. And while they failed with The Boy 2, this director learned from those mistakes and made the Orphan prequel just so much better. Because the way this movie is marketed and almost plays out for the first half, it feels like a very generic sequel. It has a family here who thinks they have their daughter in front of them, us the audience knowing that it's actually a grown woman. Sure, creepy stuff happens and Esther does what Esther does, but there are some really clever, unique, and refreshing ideas thrown in here I was not expecting to see. I really don't even want to give too much away on the story because I think people will be pleasantly surprised with it. I know I really was, and it's what's making me kind of love this movie, but also I really appreciate how this movie doesn't just rehash some of the same similar tropes that the first Orphan movie does. Now that you as the viewer know the big twist of the movie and can see Esther as a grown woman and no longer as a child doing creepy stuff, they are able to play on different angles that isn't just repeating some of the same scares from that first movie. Getting on to Isabelle Fuhrman, I'll admit at times it's still pretty obvious to me, especially having seen the first movie just like a day before this one, is that yeah, face-wise she doesn't really look like a 9 or 10-year-old, but the movie still does a great job with the camera work in making you believe that this is still a little kid, or at least it's supposed to be a little kid. I know people want de-aging and CGI, that could go a long way, but that is so expensive. It just would have inflated the budget of this movie, so props to them for doing it this way, and I think it's watchable and suitable, and after a couple minutes in, you just kind of forget about it and go along with it. But along with that, it is the performance of Isabelle Fuhrman that just solidifies Esther as a horror icon for me. I know that's always a sacrilegious thing to say as a horror fan, saying, oh, this is the next slasher icon, but having already some history in the horror genre and coming back and playing this character in a very creepy way that it's almost like she never left, I feel fully confident in saying Esther is a damn slasher icon, and I would watch 10 more movies of this sadistic person going after people, especially if they continue to come up with clever and unique ideas like this prequel did. Because there are things that happen in this prequel that enhance my viewing now of the original movie. It's not just explaining how Esther eventually ends up in the orphanage to the next family. There's kind of some deeper underlining story tones that just make you appreciate the character a little more, and surprisingly, there were even moments in here where I was sympathizing with crazy ass Esther, like it was crazy that the movie was making making me feel that way at times. I also don't really want to overhype this movie for you and say it's like a masterpiece or one of the best horror movies of the year, but I am just pleasantly surprised with how good the movie is, because I'll be honest and say it's on par with the original movie. If you're someone that liked that first Orphan movie, I think you're gonna love this one. I wouldn't even blame you if you're someone who says you prefer this one to the original, because it does have its advantages over the last movie. But at the same time, this movie won't be the thing to make you love the Orphan franchise. If you didn't like that first movie and thought the idea and twist was dumb, you're probably not gonna like this film, and it won't change your mind on the last movie. As far as other negatives I have about the movie, there's not really much. The only big one I want to mention is towards the end, there's a big battle with Esther, and because of the way the movie is trying to make you believe that this fully grown 25-year-old is a 9-year-old, the camera work is super shaky, some heavy editing, and it's just them trying to hide the fact that this actually isn't a little kid. So it does kind of downplay the big finale of this movie, and there's also even some wonky CGI happening in the background. But again, nothing that'll completely ruin the film for you. So yeah, horror fans, I'm kind of going crazy over this Orphan prequel, and I'm really excited to see if they end up making another one. As of me posting this review, it's on Paramount Plus, but I actually went to the theaters to go see it because it is in select theaters. And if you're a big fan of that original Orphan movie, I say it's worth going out to see if it's playing in your local theater. But it's not really a requirement. I think you'll still really enjoy this movie from the comfort of your home. So with Orphan First Kill, I'm gonna give Action 2.5 stars. I know this movie is a prequel, but technically since it's the second film in the series, you expect there to be more carnage, a lot bloodier, and it's actually not. There's still enough in there for you to satisfy that, but I think the first movie is still more carnage-filled film. Comedy in the movie, I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. It still plays it very seriously. It doesn't make Esther goofy. She remains terrifying. There are a couple of jokes thrown in there and moments that are purposely supposed to make you laugh and even creep you out at the same time. Drama in the film, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. Part of me wants to go to that full 4-star, but I think that's just me being more surprised that they actually pulled off a watchable, enjoyable story for this prequel that I think has no right being this good. This is definitely a horror movie where they put the story over the carnage and kills, and it works all the better for it. Horror in the movie, I'll give it 3 stars. There were still some great creepy moments. I won't say there's really that many uncomfortable moments. Like if you remember in that first Orphan movie, it's still kind of weird to see 9-year-old Isabelle Fuhrman in a dress trying to seduce an older man. There's like 1 or 2 moments that kind of come close to that, but they don't really play on that anymore, but instead try to keep it to a creepy factor. And for suspense in the film, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars, especially towards the final act when everything is being revealed and shown. There are some great tension building moments that I can't believe the movie pulled off. Casual fans, I'm gonna give it a B+. It definitely requires you to still have watched that first movie, even though this is a prequel, for you to fully enjoy it. Cinephiles, I'm gonna give it an A-, and critically, I'm going to give it a B-. For Orphan First Kill, I think this is a horror movie you add to your collection at home.
That's a keeper. Yes.
Really just ended up so surprised, loving this movie. I want more Esther stories in my life. Hopefully they can pull off making more, even with this camera trickery and the actress getting older. I don't care. I'll buy into it as long as you give me great stories like this. Let me know if you're someone who just recently watched the new Orphan movie on Paramount Plus, or if you went to the theaters to see it. Do you think it's a worthy prequel? Does it live up to the original movie? I think it does, but I want to hear from you guys. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.